And perhaps only Jesse Jackson is the kind of person, personality, and genius that can do it in the fashion that he did today. And white America in particular is going to be awfully surprised when we start to talk about what they think is their money. When are we going to be able to get back to forcing America to spend money on social programs? There is gold in them their heels. It is not enough for a black woman to sit in a bureaucratic position, or a black man or anybody else serving in these roles, to simply act like white folks and say you just didn't score high enough. It is not enough for you to use the same old systems. You've got a responsibility. I'm not asking you to cheat. I'm just asking you to do what government is supposed to do. Where AIDS is on the increase in the minority community, the incidence of an HIV infection is rising higher in black communities than any place else. Infected babies are being born, AIDS so-called babies, all of these problems that the white press documents. If white folks are documented, that should give you the right to give the money to black folks. If they are documented and agreeing and alluding to it and talking about it, what you're supposed to do is take all the money and put it where it's supposed to be and use what they said as the excuse for doing it. Nobody is smarter than we are. Nobody's got more energy than we've got. We can run these cities, Bloods or the Crips or whatever they call them in your city, but as one young gang member told me, yeah, we want a sense of belonging. You belong to a gang. You belong to the Democratic gang. White folks who represent banks, savings and loans, insurance companies, and other kinds of special interests walk their way through these legislative bodies, walking away with large sums of money and privileged opportunities. Let me tell you, there is no reason why white developers should still be developing in black communities. No reason why. We have enough black developers. Mr. White Man, you can have some of this business, but in order to get it, you've got to join venture with somebody over here who looks a little bit different, and that's the only way you're going to get it. Let me tell you, it is something wrong with the community that passes by a construction project day in and day out with white folks who come from other areas working in them and not be mad. They say to me all the time, you appear to be angry. If you're black and American, you're not a little bit mad, you crazy. Of course I'm angry. And young people are very angry, and they're very destructive, and say to folks in a nice way, if we don't work, you don't work. They would understand how much power they have without ever lifting a gun. And guess what? Folks would not come to work in folks' community while folks are walking around in that community with no jobs and no money. It is something wrong when people feel comfortable. Nobody on the job looks like you, and it's all right to keep coming in and out and putting that money in your pocket and going home at night. I don't understand why you're not angry if you're not. Young people are angry. They may not describe it to you in this way, but the most important ingredient is the will of a people to participate. And when you do that, you will make people give it up and cut it loose. And you will force them to share it and do the kinds of things that must be done. In communities, again, that are changing, where blacks are coming into power, the economic systems of those communities are still run by whites who used to be in power. You don't think they keep the chambers of commerces and the Rotary clubs going just because they like to go to lunch, do you? They're keeping it going oftentimes in these areas because they want to keep a handle on the money. And they're doing that. We have got to set up our own chambers of commerce. And please don't call them chambers of commerce. Please call them something else. We have got to set up mechanisms in our community where people cannot walk in and do anything that they want to do. They got to come past something, a coordinating council, a group of individuals who are looking out for the best interests of the community, and start to buy into the solutions that folks are ringing down on your heads. Yes, there are those who say to us, put them in the gas chamber. I don't care if they're only 14 years old. We just happen to have some folks that we've been training in the housing projects for the past 3 years. And they said, oh no, you are not going to sell it. If you sell it, we're going to buy it. We'll be the ones who own it, or a nonprofit will own it, but you're not going to do this. And so they have been negotiating not only with the mayor, but going before city council. And I think it was quite understood that if they persisted in trying to do this, even if they had gotten the certificates to do them in the way that they had wanted them to do, that there may not have been any buildings left to own if they had tried to take them. And they were serious about that. Folks who believe that they have to move in this new direction that whites are defining for us, that says we ain't all right unless we act like we are white, must understand they are tricking you out of position where you have no base and no support. It is not that we place blame here today, but it should be that we all accept blame and responsibility. And we all leave from this conference prepared to do what we must do.
Maxine Waters. Let's give her another hand.
The issues that are black, that are issues of your community that you want to force to the top of the agenda, if you start to do that, then you've got a whole power base there to work with in so many ways. And God forbid if you really start to ever exercise power within your organized labor groups and say, well, if this ain't gonna be the #1 issue, we're gonna all take out our dues.